All right, so in this video, we're going to be talking about solving quadratics by using square roots. So this is the easiest way to solve a quadratic, and most of them are going to be a little bit more tricky, but this stuff's pretty easy. There's just a couple things you need to remember. So basically, let's take a look at number one here. The way that we want to get x on its own is simply by taking the square root of both sides. So we take the square root here and the square root here. The square root of x is going to be x. And the square root of 16 is 4. But the one little tricky part here is that it's actually going to be plus or minus 4. And that's because negative 4 times negative 4 also gives you a positive 16. So we don't know if x is positive 4 or negative 4. All we know is that whether it's positive or negative, when it's squared, it becomes 16. So that's kind of the only twist here. So let's take a look at number 2. So number 2, we have a coefficient in front of the x squared. So before we take the square root, we're just going to divide both sides by 2, like in any other equation. So that's going to get us x squared equals 25. And then square root, x is equal to plus or minus 5. Another way we can write this is x is equal to 5, comma, negative 5. So in this example, in addition to this coefficient, there's also a constant here. In order to solve this, we're going to solve it like any other equation, and we're going to get x squared on its own before we take the square root. Plus 3, 5x squared is equal to 500. Divide both sides by 5. We'll get that x is equal to, or x squared is equal to 100. And now we take the square root of both sides. We'll get that x is equal to plus or minus 10. And if we rewrite it in a different format, we'll get x is equal to 10, comma, negative 10. Because that's all that plus or minus really means, is that it can be positive or negative. All right, so in this example, there's parentheses. So we can solve this two different ways. We can either distribute this 5 and solve that way, or we can just divide both sides by 5. So I'm going to do both methods, but I think dividing by 5 is a little easier, so I'm going to do that first. So if we divide both sides by 5, we'll get that x squared plus 1 is equal to 26. Subtract 1 from both sides. We'll get that x squared is equal to 25. Square root, x is equal to plus or minus 5. But now if we were going to distribute and do the slightly longer method, you'll see that we'll get the same answer. All right. So if we distribute this and distribute this, 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times 1 will give us a positive 5. And that's all equal to 130. So now we can subtract 5 from both sides. We'll get that 5x squared is equal to 125. Divide both sides by 5. We'll get that x squared is equal to 25. Square root, x is equal to plus or minus 5. So this is a pretty easy concept, but it's pretty important when starting off with quadratics. So hopefully this helps. Thank you guys for watching. If you're looking for practice problems, there should be some linked in the description below. If you liked the video, please leave a like. It's much appreciated. Really helps get the content out there for other people to see. And yeah, have a great day.